The divisions in Sanatana Dharma's history of Dvaita and Advaita, of Bhakti and impersonalist, when did they start? How did they historically develop? The Upanishads, they talk about the absolute truth in terms which are both personalist and impersonalist. The Isha Upanishad talks about from a personalist point of view. There are other Upanishads which talk about from the impersonalist point of view. So the idea is that the Vedic texts, they offer what you could call as user-friendly spirituality. What that means is, whatever is the level of consciousness of the reader, accordingly you make spiritual advancement. So people who are very fried out with worldly relationships, worldly emotions, if you tell them in the spiritual world there are relationships, I don't want to go there. So then for them, okay, spiritual world is a realm of oneness, of unity. That's what will attract. That is also given. So historically, both of these originate from the Vedic scriptures, and both of them are meant for the spiritual elevation of different people who are coming from different backgrounds. Now, at one particular time in Indian history, because there was so much casteism and discrimination against lower castes, there's so much other sub-religious ideas started percolating in, that because of the discrimination and other factors, many people rejected Hinduism and they adopted Buddhism or Jainism. So from 5th century BC to around 5th century AD, many parts of India were ruled by either Buddhist or Jain kings. So actually speaking, if you consider that area of classical, let's call classical Greek, classical age, so at that time, more books propagating atheism were written in Sanskrit than any other world language. Not in Greek, not in Persian, not in any other. Because Buddhism and Jainism, these religions ideologically don't accept the existence of God. So at that time, around 6th century, Sripad Shankaracharya came, and his purpose was to unify the followers of the Sanatana Dharma and to bring back those who had gone off. So Buddhism had the idea of what they call as Shunya. Shunya is voidism. Now voidism can have multiple understandings, what they mean by it. But their idea is that the absolute truth, whatever exists, ultimately it has no attributes, it has no qualities. They call it Shunya. So then, because that was the pervading conception of people at that time, so Shankaracharya presented at that time the teachings of the Upanishads, which talks about the Brahma, the Buddhistic conception of Shunya and the conception of Brahma as drawn from the Upanishad by Shankaracharya. They were intellectual clones. They were practically at an intellectual level similar. That's why people, when this is what you want, this is there in the Vedic Dharma also, why do you want to go out? Of course, it's always true that power corrupts. So, Buddhism also had some issues that came up, Jainism also had some issues came up. So, many people came back to the Vedic Dharma at that time. Now, after Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya came. So, Shankara said, okay, you want oneness, there's oneness here only. But then Ramanujacharya came and said, yes, there's oneness, but within the oneness also there is variety. So Shankaracharya taught Advaitavad, Ramanujacharya taught Vishishta Advaita. There is oneness, but there is some qualified oneness, Vishishta. And what was that qualified oneness? His example was, the defining metaphor of Ramanujacharya was that the relationship of the body, of the soul and the body. So he said, the universe is the body and Vishnu is the soul. So at one level we can say that the body and the soul are different. At another level, the body acts according to the will of the soul. So similarly, all living beings are meant to act according to the will of Vishnu. And when they act according to the will of Vishnu, then there is harmony and there is happiness. So, yes, there's oneness, but what is the nature of that oneness? There is oneness of harmony. So, if you consider a pendulum, Shankaracharya presented oneness, Vishishta Advaita said there is oneness, but there is variety in it. Then Madhvacharya came. Madhvacharya said, actually, what oneness? There is Dvaita. He says, where do you see oneness? You look at one particle of matter and another particle of matter. Even one leaf and another leaf, there are differences. So you talk about Panchama Bhed. There are basically three tattvas in nature. We could say matter, consciousness, and the infinite, and the supreme. So in Sanskrit we can call it Jagat, Jeev, and Jagdish. So in the Jagat, there's variety among different particles. In the Jiva, each Jiva is different. So there's difference between matter and matter, there's difference between Jiva and Jiva, there's difference between matter and Jiva, there's difference between Jiva and Ishvara, and there's difference between matter and Ishvara. So there's Pancham Bhed. So he took the pendulum to the other side. And then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, yes, there is oneness, but there is also the relationship within the one. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught what is called a Achintya Bheda Bhed. So Bheda and Abhed. There is oneness and there is difference also. There is Achintya, that is inconceivable. So he brought the pendulum back to the middle balanced state. So you could say that Buddha, if you see, is symbolized with that means Shunya, is absolute to the zero. Shankara is symbolized with one. Everything is one. Madhvacharya is symbolized with two. It's duality, there's two. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is symbolized with two-ness, but there is a joyful, ecstatic relationship between the two. So that is you could say the holistic understanding, where the oneness and the two-ness are harmonized by understanding that there is oneness in the nature, everyone is spiritual, oneness in belonging, because we are all ultimately the part of the absolute truth. At the same time, there is two-ness in the sense that there is a reciprocation of love.